non-otaku.
Just far and away Tatsuki Fujimoto's best work ever.
Welcome back to 2M OTTACK. I'm your host, Mayu, a born and raised Japanese non-otaku, and
I'm Cisco, an American otaku.
In this podcast, we share our reviews of anime and manga through a distinct perspective with commentary on Japanese culture, history, and the language. So, Cisco, we've talked about Tatsuki Fujimoto 17 to 26 last week.
Yep.
But we only focused on from episode 1 to 4.
Right.
Today, we're going to talk about episode 5 to 8. There are quite a few of episodes we like.
Yeah, these ones were good.
So that's what we want to talk about.
Gotcha.
Before we start, we'd like to hear from you. Share your thoughts, ideas, questions, or even suggestions what we should talk about. Send us a message to the email in the description, or you can use Spotify and the YouTube comment section as well. All right, let's go from number 5. Episode number 5 is Mermaid Rhapsody.
Yeah.
You really like this one.
I think when I was reading the comic version of it, the manga, this was my favorite because it's so unlike what Fujimoto Tatsuki usually writes. And I think the thing that it says at the end is someone at Jump said Tatsuki Fujimoto can't write a normal story, so I wrote this. I thought that was hilarious. But it is. It's like so much more a normal story. It still has some Tatsuki Fujimoto stuff, like the fact that the mermaids eat people, right? And like people get bit and stuff. On the whole, it's just so much more normal than almost anything else. I have sort of a soft spot for it.
When I read the original manga, I felt like, oh, this is like unusually normal.
That's right.
For Tatsuki Fujimoto.
Right.
I thought it was cute, but it was not my favorite.
Right.
But after watching the anime, I felt the story was delivered better than when I read by myself.
Yeah, I hear that.
Maybe partially because I'm not English speaker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you read it in English.
I read all the manga in English, but at this time I listened in Japanese. Maybe that's the differences.
Maybe. I think the biggest difference between the manga and the anime version of this is that in the anime version, there's actual music. In the manga version, like he's playing music on an underwater piano, but you don't really know what it sounds like. And it's hard to imagine what exactly it's going to sound like. And then the music that they wrote for it is actually really good and becomes an important part of the story that he can make such beautiful music. I don't know. Somehow I felt the manga was more poignant and a little bit like more sweet. And the anime was a little bit more comedic and sort of funny, at least at the end. I like this one a lot.
So the guy told Shiju, the mermaid,
right?
Kimi ni nara.
Yeah, you're so pretty.
食べられてもいい?
I don't care if you eat me.
Yeah. That's pretty hot.
Is it?
Yeah.
Like it's hot for the girl?
Uh-huh.
To be told I don't care if you eat me because you're so hot?
Yeah.
I would use that line more often if I knew it was going to work.
I don't know if it's going to work, but...
Would it work on you?
I don't know.
Maybe it's I don't know. Somehow in my mind, like the English version of like saying that is like I get it and then like it sort of works, but like, I don't know. It feels like there's another layer in English. I know he means it as like, you're going to like bite off my arms and head and like kill me in order to eat me. It just feels like a double entendre in English.
Okay. Maybe there's some like little nuance differences in Japanese.
Yeah.
English.
Yeah. I don't know that like Japanese people like reference this particular thing often enough for it to.
But clearly Shiju had a blush on her face.
Right. Yeah. She thought it was a good line too.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Right. Sort of.
Okay. Never mind.
No. I mean, like it's a romantic thing to say I would die for you. Right. That part I get. I just mean that like, maybe I'm just like, a little bit of like got my mind in the gutter, but like to me, it sounds a little bit like something else in a way that like probably wouldn't be as good a line.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's interesting that the mermaids seem like not in total control of their instincts, right? Like when they smell blood, they just automatically attack, right? Which is kind of interesting. And I think like the humans don't seem to automatically attack mermaids, but culturally it seems like they've been doing it for a while. I sort of didn't understand why for the mermaids it was instinct, but for the humans it was cultural. Can't it just be cultural for the mermaids too? You know what I mean? I didn't get that part.
Okay.
It turns into like a harem at the very end, which I thought was sort of funny, where they're like all kissing him to give him more air so he can keep playing the piano.
Yeah.
Which was, I like that twist at the end that like made it sort of silly, you know?
I thought it was unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, it was totally unnecessary. It was like such a poignant, like nice little love story until the end. And then like there's this like twist that makes it kind of like less serious, right? And if that felt like the most Tatsuki Fujimoto part of the whole thing. Was like up until that last moment, it really felt like it was by somebody else. And then like the last moment where like the other mermaid kisses him and then all the mermaids kiss him. And then like the last shot is him being like, I'll be back later, girls. Right. And they're all like, oh, come back. Right. Like I was like, oh, this is like definitely a Tatsuki Fujimoto project.
Yeah.
So I think it's like an interesting ending to like what is otherwise like sort of a sweet story. It feels like a parody at the very end, right? Like he couldn't bring himself to end it in a normal way. It had to have like a bit of a joke at the very end.
Right. Let's move on to episode 6. Episode 6 is Woke Up as a Girl Syndrome. And I just realized the Mermaid Rhapsody's boy's name is Toshihide.
Interesting.
And Woke Up as a Girl Syndrome's boy/girl is also Toshihide.
That's weird.
Yeah, I wonder if there's connection or...
Maybe he just really liked that name.
Maybe. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about episode 6. What did you think?
As with Koi wa Momoku, Love is Blind, from the previous set of episodes, I really liked the art direction of this episode. There is a lot of two-tone colors where half the screen is one color and the other half is a different color. And there's sort of lines going in between things. I like that as a sort of play on the gender duality that's like throughout this episode. And I thought the way it looked was very cool all the way through. But as a story, it might be my least favorite story in the collection. I don't know. Maybe I like it a little bit more than Sasaki Stopped a Bullet, but it's one of my least favorite stories, I think. It feels, you feel the age of it. Not that I think necessarily Tatsuki Fujimoto is like whatever, more grown up or like more socially aware or anything now, but this one feels like trying to watch like a comedian from like the late 2000s do like a stand-up act where like half the stuff they say in the act, you're like, oh, like that was like not that funny then. And it like now it looks like really bad. You know what I mean? Because it's not a serious story either. The punchline is like very gendered in like a way that does not subvert gender expectations, but rather reinforces them. And there's a lot of moments like in the actual thing where you're just kind of like, this is resting on like so many normative assumptions about like men and women that like it's kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, like you said, I liked all the colors.
Yeah.
It was so vivid and I loved it. Also, the setting was 2000.
And maybe that's on purpose too, to be like, we're going to excuse the old sensibilities in this by setting it in like a period when like probably this was the way people thought back then or something. But yeah. And then there are like musics, like nostalgic music, right.
J-pop. Also, there were like 2 things which were not on original manga.
Yeah.
Which are...
So there's a moment there, like the sort of punchline moment of it is when the older brother who the main character looks up to walks in on the main guy and his girlfriend. They're just taking their clothes off. And there's a moment where like the main guy's butt is sticking out. And so in the background of the anime shot, there's the word angel in like sort of like funny, I don't know, inflatable lettering, which is kind of funny. And then like the main guy or the older brother gets a nosebleed, which is what Japanese like shorthand for getting turned on. Right. And then his like in the manga, he just has a nosebleed. That's it. And then it's like they talk. In the anime, his nose like explodes in a fountain of blood. And there are 3 shirts hanging on the wall, one of which is just a white undershirt. And the white undershirt gets the word sex written on it in blood from his nosebleed, which is pretty funny. Yeah, that was definitely like a nice added touch. So the other part is he's getting bullied in class and the teacher tells one of the guys to shut up and his mouth zips shut like a zipper, visually like a zipper, which is interesting. And you said this is an expression in Japanese language. It's also one in English.
Really?
Yeah, zip your lips is a thing that is said in English also.
When do you use it?
Teachers say it to students.
Same.
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
But we say like, we don't say zip. We say chaku. Okuchi ni chaku.
A zipper on your lips. It's basically the same thing.
Okay.
So yeah, so that moment is also sort of different. But yeah, so there's some interesting visual moments in this episode. But the underlying story about being changed into, I mean, like, I don't know, Japanese culture is like really interested in this idea of like swapping genders by just waking up in a different body. I kind of like can't decide whether this is just like a weird male fantasy of like being in a woman's body, or whether there's like some deeper connection here to like either trying to understand what it's like to be a transgender person, or grappling with like what it might mean to be in not the same body gender as you feel inside. And this one feels more like the former. Like it's just like a fantasy of the guy, or it's playing on this idea of like acting like a girl, especially by crying or having emotions, and then like that being girly, right? Which is, I don't know, feels like very regressive as opposed to like interesting or like, I don't know, progressive at all. And the fact that the culmination of the story is him chasing after his girlfriend to be like, no, I'm still a boy on the inside. Like, I like you. Like, I chased after you because I'm a man. Just feel like it's, I don't know, it's so reinforcing like the most like, I don't know, retrograde gender assumptions that it was sort of disappointing.
Interesting.
And I mean, like, I think I get it from like as like a straight, you know, cis dude perspective to be like, yes, like the desire to like, you know, chase people or I don't know, like stand up for yourself or something is connected to maleness in some way. Like, sure, like I get that, but it just felt like there was so much potential with the story for like exploring more interesting ideas, and instead to have like the end of it be like a reinforcement of like straightforward cisgender norms was like sort of a letdown.
All right, let's move on to episode 7. Episode 7 is Nayuta of the Prophecy. What did you think of this one?
I like the animation in this one a lot too. It looked the most like Chainsaw Man.
Yeah,
Right.
It looks like Power.
And yeah, I mean, Nayuta has horns like Power. Nayuta is the name of a main character in the Chainsaw Man manga later.
What?
Yeah, it hasn't come out. We are not there yet in the anime, but there is a character in the Chainsaw Man manga called Nayuta, who is a girl child.
Okay.
So it feels really directly connected to that story in a way. And the story itself is the most like Chainsaw Man. It has like, I guess she's kind of a demon, right? She has like powers and magic and kills things sort of indiscriminately and isn't understood by anybody else. And it's sort of unnecessarily violent and bloody. I just maybe not even, but compared to the other stories in this collection. And the main characters are impoverished, right? They don't seem to have very much money. And like grappling with that is like an important part of their story. So it feels the most recognizably Tatsuki Fujimoto of these stories, right? I mean, I guess the first one is too, but like not Mermaid Rhapsody, the very first one. But this one is like kind of what you would expect. Does that feel fair?
I've been wondering what does story wants to tell.
Yeah.
And I think it's about like brother and the sister. And then even though brother doesn't really understand his sister, she thinks what she feels like whatever, but still like he wants to take care of her and protect her. That's what I got.
Yeah, it has some of the same themes as Shikaku from the first set of stories of like, you know, a person who is either kind of like unaware of or regularly in violation of society's norms, especially around violence, right, towards like other living beings. And I think it sort of wants to say that people who express themselves through violence like are not necessarily bad. They may just be sort of unaware of what's going on around them. Look, maybe it's difficult to communicate. Maybe you don't have the same norms as everybody else. Maybe like there's a real gap in understanding, but that doesn't make people like good or bad, right? And that like, you know, especially when you're afraid of someone who's different, it becomes really hard to bridge that communication gap. Nayuta's just kind of dangerous. And I think like to me, it feels more like a commentary on like the presence of violence in modern media and particularly in anime and manga. And it feels a lot sort of safer to say this is a commentary on people being violent or watching violent media or enjoying and consuming like that kind of media and not necessarily being violent. So in a way, it's like, you know, is Tatsuki Fujimoto Nayuta, right? And like not understood by people around him because he draws stuff that is really violent and graphic, but it doesn't mean he's like a violent, horrible person. There's just a gap in understanding. There's a weird story at the end of the collection in the manga where he had a pet fish with his girlfriend and the fish died. I don't remember why it died. It just died. And he was supposed to bury it. And then he like didn't bury it. And then he was like, okay, I'll finally go bury it. And he tried to bury it in like a park, but the ground was too hard and he couldn't like dig a hole with his hands. Like it sounds like he didn't even really bring a shovel. I don't know why he tried to bury it up. I mean, I guess like in America, when you bury pets, I guess this is only true for people with enough money to have a backyard. But like in my mind, somehow the place where you bury pets is in the yard. Like I grew up in an apartment too. I must have had pets that died when I was living in the apartment. I do not know where we buried them, but I assume it was the courtyard of the apartment. And for sure, after my family moved to a house when I was growing up, we definitely buried pets that died after we got the house in the yard of the house where like, I don't remember the soil. I guess I didn't dig the graves, but like, it can't have been that hard. Anyway, just like I can totally picture someone trying to dig a grave in a public park in Japan and failing.
Because they lived in an apartment building.
Right. Because they didn't have enough money to like have any place with a yard. Yeah. But like he tries to go and dig the grave. He can't dig the grave. And so then he just leaves it on the ground and it starts getting like eaten by ants, I think. And he's like all of a sudden feels very bad. So he ate it. How big was this fish?
It's medaka, so it's not that big.
It's like a pretty small fish. So he just ate the whole thing.
Yeah, I think he swallowed, I guess. I don't know.
That is like a shocking decision to me, right? Like, I mean, I guess like maybe he felt like he couldn't throw it out, right? Because that would be like disrespectful.
I guess she wouldn't know though. The girlfriend wouldn't know if she threw.
No, but I feel like he had some emotions about the fish, right? He saw the fish getting eaten by the ants and he felt really bad about its death. And I think also about his failure to like bury it properly, right?
I wouldn't know.
But like his decision to eat it is like a very strange
it's a very different
choice,
level,
right? To be like, I mean, I guess like he does talk about having like been hungry a lot of the time, but I can't imagine this was a decision motivated by hunger because the fish is not big enough to fill you up and like eating it is just a weird choice.
Yeah.
But he ate it and then got sick.
Yeah.
But then like lied to his girlfriend and said that he had actually buried it.
I mean, there's no way he can say he ate it. Yeah.
I agree that if he'd been honest and been like, I ate it, she would have been like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
But that's what, I mean, I think that moment kind of connects to the Nayuta story too, because she's constantly eating like dead animals, right? And like the animals in the Nayuta of the prophecy are the best part.
What?
Because they're all these like plausible but totally made up animals. He's like, don't eat the bunny cats. And he's like, don't eat the sand dogs. Don't eat like the
whale cow.
Don't kill the whale cows. Like, don't eat the rat birds. Like, they're all like slightly disturbing, like weird creatures. But yeah, like it feels like maybe he's the one who feels like outside of the norm in some ways, that like he's the Nayuta. But I think also a lot of, this one and Sisters are so much about siblings. I do not know whether he has any siblings, but I am very curious about his relationship to his siblings if he has any. You know what I mean? So anyway, I think it's a good story. It's like it's sort of what you expect from Tatsuki Fujimoto, and maybe it's a metaphor for something, and maybe it's kind of not. Maybe he just thought it would be like fun to have like a demon child that could only say really like fun, bad words, essentially.
It's not
they're not
necessarily
bad words, but they're very disturbing words, right? And like the idea of a character that can only talk in like, I don't know, very violent words feels like perfect for him as a manga author. And I think he must have had like a lot of fun creating this character and drawing her. Sometimes I feel like that's the main point.
Let's talk about episode 8, Sisters. I loved this.
Far and away the best thing in the whole
whole
series. And that's true from the manga too. Like you read the manga and this story is just nothing like the other ones.
Yeah.
Is foundational to look back as a story. And yeah, it's just in every way, it's the best one. It's the most interesting. It has the best story. It's
actually moving and I loved it. At the very first scene, one of the first scenes was like high school gate. And they say the name of the high school, which to me immediately thought it was Nikaho High School.
Right.
Nikaho is a city that Tatsuki Fujimoto grew up, and it's like really close to my hometown. But actually, it was not Nikaho High School. It says Nika Bijutsu Koko. But there's no such thing. Like I'm sure there's like Nikaho High School.
Right. There's no
like that.
art school.
There's no
in
art
Mikaho.
school,
Yeah,
nor
way
arts
too
high
small.
school. Yeah. So what did you like about this episode?
I mean, one, this is an episode that really tells you that Tatsuki Fujimoto is a serious artist and not just a mangaka. And that comes through in the manga totally well. But the art that they drew for the anime is also really high quality. Like, I think the art of this animated feature is higher than the art of Chainsaw Man. Like, it's really, really well animated, and the music is stunning, and like everything about the production value is just like leagues away from every other story in the collection. It's also interesting because I think this is the thing he completed the like last, right? He'd been a manga artist for a while by the time he made this, and the character design and the art in the manga is really high, right? It's like clearly like he's grown as an artist from some of the earlier titles, and it's just reflected in the anime too. So all of those things are good. The story is interesting. I thought the voice actors might be the same people from Look Back, and they're not. But the relationship between the sisters is so similar to the relationship in Look Back that like I think I just sort of like assigned that to them. And yeah, I love it that it's about art. It doesn't pull any punches. It doesn't pull any nipples. It's got all the nipples are there, which is like appropriate for this type of piece. And yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it's a really, really good story.
Yeah, I could really relate to the feeling of as a like an older sister in some point until it's fun to hang out with your older sibling, younger sibling, until younger sibling kind of passes you through. Like I don't really have. I mean, I guess my younger brother was really good at playing table tennis. He went to like a national competition and everything, which is not necessarily I envied, but a little bit because like my parents had to take him to like different faraway prefecture, and then I had to stay with my grandparents just a little bit. But like most, like how can I say it? The feeling I could relate to this story, like having a younger brother passes you, is I used to fight with my younger brother, physically fight. I always won until he was, you know, he was getting bigger and musclier, and I was like, oh no, I can't win anymore. It's like, and I stopped, start fighting with him because there's no way I can win.
Right.
Yeah. So I can relate to the feeling. You have a younger sibling too.
I have a younger sister. Yeah. I did never fight her physically.
Oh, that's very nice of you.
She also like was a vicious fighter when she did fight people. I remember she like bit one of my friends like when she was very little. She must have been like 2 or 3.
Oh, okay.
But like bit him, I think like pretty hard.
Wow.
And so yeah, like we didn't ever physically fight, but I think I like distanced myself from her, not really as like I'm afraid you're gonna beat me at things kind of a way, but in like God, I'm not even sure why. Like I need to be like my own person. Like I need to like, do my own things. Like you can't be, I also didn't have very many friends, and she was like a much more gregarious person than I am, like gets along with people much more easily. And so I was pretty defensive about my friends being not her friends, which in a way that was mean and that I like really regret. I was probably at some level afraid that she would be like better friends with my friends than I was. And like my parents are also like really get along with people easily. And for sure, like I also was sometimes afraid that my dad would be better friends with my friends than I was, which is fair because my dad's like really cool. Anyway, I think like I created a lot of separation and distance from my younger sibling. But so I understood that feeling of like I don't want to have to deal with you, or like you don't know me. But they have a really beautiful rapprochement in this story that is just kind of like great to see, where the older sibling like does some hard introspection, right? And like figures out, why she feels the way she does, and has like a, sort of like a sweet ending.
Yeah, especially the moment the teacher told the truth.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
The reason why the little sister, did the painting.
Right. Yeah.
It's like good.
yeah. And then her reaction to that is really great. Yeah. So it's a great story. I think like watching all of them is worth it for this one. And I think like a lot of the other ones I think are to one degree or another like interesting. If I was going to like decide to only watch some of these, right, I might watch Shikaku as like a comedy, right? Okay. And I think I would watch like the first one is like, I think kind of like an interesting thought piece about aliens and eating things. And in a way, I feel like the first one and Nayuta of the Prophecy are in like conversation with each other about like morality and killing and like eating stuff in a way that's like very Tatsuki Fujimoto, that feels like at the core of like a lot of the, like what he wants to say about morality and violence. I might skip Sasaki Stopped a Bullet and A Love is Blind. I feel like those two and Woke Up as a Girl Syndrome, like, I don't think I would watch them again. Like they're like,
It was fun.
they were like fine and like light as like sort of snacks, but like, and like some of the art direction is really interesting in all of those. But I think like the first one, Mermaid Rhapsody, Nayuta, and especially like if you only have time for one, watch Sisters. It's easily the best. And if you had time for two, I would watch like Sisters and either like Mermaid Rhapsody or the first one or Nayuta of the Prophecy. And then like the other ones for me come after that.
You mentioned about the color of the paintings.
Yeah. So in the manga, they're all black and white. But apparently when it ran in SQ Jump, it began with a full color page. And somehow I feel like I've seen that. But like the main... Yeah, the first image of her nude, both from the black and white, you can kind of picture the colors really easily. And this one was a color page, I think. And then I think at the very end, she paints a self-portrait. And the self-portrait in the manga is just black and white. And I don't think there was a color version of it. And the color version is like is all in red tones, and it's really powerful and interesting and not what I anticipated. Whereas the opening image was all the colors I thought it would be somehow. So I thought that was like a really interesting takeaway, that like the closing portrait was so different than what I'd imagined, but in a way that felt perfect.
All right, let's do today's word of the day. What is today's word of the day?
So I think for today's word of the day, we would use the terms for sisters in Japanese. Ane means older sister, imoto means younger sister, and shimai means sisters. Now, these are written with characters that all look pretty similar to each other. Ane is the character for woman, and next to it is...
market or city.
Yeah, market or city. And then imoto is written with the same character for woman on the left and not yet,
yeah,
right?
Minor.
Or like, like before.
Not before, yeah.
Like immature, written on the right. And then when you put the two next to each other, you read it as shimai. And it means only sisters, like no other siblings. Sibling is kyodai, right? Which is written with older brother, younger brother, even though it can like apply to both. It's sort of like Spanish where, you say like chicos and it can mean like boys and girls. But if you say chicas, it's just girls. Anyway, same thing in Japanese. So you can say kyodai, which is like the two terms for brothers, but it can mean siblings of any gender, whereas shimai means just daughters.
We can write with older brother Chinese character and let's say little sister character, and we can
read it kyodai.
Yeah. And you can arrange that.
Right. So it sort of doesn't matter which characters you put in. People will sort of intuit it that this means siblings.
Yeah. But like what kind of siblings? Like what's the genders?
You can indicate it with the kanji even when you're not indicating the pronunciation. Yeah, very interesting. So anyway, those were, I thought, the last episode is called Imoto no ane. In English, it's literally just sisters.
I know.
Imoto no ane, the big sister of the younger sister. So the little sister's big sister is the direct translation of that. But we don't have words in English that specify someone's age in relationship to you in any of our language. And so there, you have to attach these other words like big and little in order to indicate your sibling's birth order relative to your own in English.
Would you like to add anything else before we end?
I feel like I know I had like a lot of criticism for all of these, but they're all really interesting. And I'm just going to say it again because I really feel it so strongly. When are they going to make a Sayonara Eri movie? Like Sayonara Eri is just far and away Tatsuki Fujimoto's best work ever. And like, I like all of his stuff, but Sayonara Eri puts the rest of it just to shame. Like Look Back is also good. But like for me, Sayonara Eri is like miles away at the top. Then like Look Back is like 3/4 of the way up, and Chainsaw Man's like halfway. And like these stories are like a little, like about at the same level of Chainsaw Man for me. It's like, they're good. They're fine. I like them. But like Sayonara Eri is like twice as good as anything else he's ever done. So freaking please Let us have that movie.
I'm sure it's gonna become like a what do you call
Mega hit.
animation or live action.
It would be great as both.
Yeah.
I would go see both multiple times in theaters.
Yeah, I'm sure it's coming there, like just, saving it.
Please. Okay. That's my last thought.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If you liked this week's episode, please give us good reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or like and leave a comment on YouTube. I just remembered we talked about Goodbye Eri on 2AM OTTACK.
Really?
Yeah.
But not, we did on this one.
Yes.
Okay, but not 3 a.m.?
We recorded it. I didn't publish it.
What?
So we can talk about it.
Yeah, all right.
Right? Yeah. It's becoming animation or live action.
Okay.
We can.
Or once we find out that Japanese anime producers are listening to our podcast and taking our advice seriously.
Make sure to subscribe and follow 2AM OTTACK and 3AM OTTACK. It'll keep us making more fun episodes. See you next time for more 2AM OTTACK.